Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the Hangout, the weekly Hangout, where we'd love to have guests. Me and Baz would love to have guests, but for some reason, Google Plus won't allow us to have guests. Philip, Baz, it does not like us. It won't allow us. We send all kinds of invites out, and people don't seem to get them, unfortunately. So we would like to have guests. We've invited 2 or 3 people tonight, and it just isn't happening at the moment. We hope to have Simon Magner joining us in a little bit, if the baby goes to sleep. He'll be talking about the latest ticketing situation with the Premier League regarding cheaper tickets for away fans. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We've had no luck so far with anyone joining the Hangout apart from me and Baz. So we'll wait and see on that one. Get in touch with us if you're watching via YouTube. Go on the Q&A section of on the video. Click on there, and you can ask questions directly to us. We'll get right directly to our video as well, so we don't need to mess about with going into YouTube and things like that. We'll get them right on our screen. So if you want to do that, make sure you do. We're talking about transfers or the lack of them, or will we see any? That's what we're here to talk about. And also, obviously, Crystal Palace coming up on Saturday. It's a massive game in the fight to stave off relegation, Baz.
Doesn't sound good, that, does it, mate?
Doesn't sound good. Right, let's go into transfers. Obviously, deadline date Monday, 2nd of February. It's always a big deal. Sky have banned. They've banned the fans. They're not letting the fans anywhere near Alan Irwin for obvious reasons. So we'll just talk about. Obviously, Roberto Martinez has said today that he doesn't feel that the squad needs any players. I mean, what do you think on
that? Well, if that's really what he feels, then it's a little bit worrying, isn't it? Because obviously, his famous quote is, "You want to be stronger at the end of the window than at the start of the window." So, numbers-wise, if Samuel Eto'o leaving, obviously we're going to be at least one player late. We've had no Osman and Pienaar. We don't know when they're going to be back. So we're certainly not stronger than when we started it. So, of course, it's a bit worrying. But I suppose the flip side to that is he gonna show his hand? There's still a week to go. I suppose you've got to err a little bit on the side of caution over transfers. If he's to come out and say, you know, we're going to hope to bring 3 or 4 in and we only bring 1 in, do people look at that as he's failed? I'm not sure.
Yeah, the problem fans have got is they see what position we're in. They see what we've dealt with all season with injuries. There's likely to be more injuries, and I know what Roberto Martinez is saying is you don't get any value, you don't get you don't get the players you want in this time of the year. And obviously this last year we got Aid McGeady and Traore, so obviously he's right what he says there. But at the end of the day, a lot of fans are looking at this situation and thinking, I'm not right. It's all right saying we're going to buy these in the summer, but some fans will be thinking, what league will we be in the summer? I mean, there is genuine worry out there, and a lot of people are thinking we need players now to make sure that we're in a comfortable position this season. You know, a lot of people are seriously worrying, and it's all right for Roberto Martinez to be, you know, confident and comfortable with where we are and the players he's got, but there's a lot of worry, and with worry, you know, worry spreads, fear spreads very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not ideal. I had a little bit of a discussion today on Twitter with you know, certain people and over different things, you know, and who you'd bring in and who you wouldn't bring in, and you know, I think sometimes it's very easy to just say, go out and sign a centre forward, and are there any out there that you can get who are gonna come in and sit on the bench and be happy to sit on the bench? Because the way Everton play at the moment, we play with one centre forward, don't we? And we've just had one striker leaving because he wasn't happy with sitting on the bench. But then the other side to that is we all want to see progression. We all want to see players coming in with supporters, and like it or not, the transfer window creates that need in us to see new players coming into our club, because it somehow affirms the feeling that you're progressing all the time, you're moving forward. I think the frustrating thing for us is that we look like we need a spark from somewhere, and that's been needed for weeks, and yet if we don't bring any new additions in, where's that spark going to come from? Because, you know, okay, we bring James McCarthy back in and he'll put lots of tackles in and run around, and he'll obviously improve us as a team, but you're looking for that little bit of magic in the final third. And, you know, I suppose you're weighing up, aren't you? Weighing up whether to spend any money you've got now for the long term, or is it for the short term? You know, and a lot of people will probably scream at this and say, well, let's sort the short term out first, because we're in the middle of and let's not get away from it, we're in the middle of a relegation fight at the minute. And that may not be the case the last week in April, but the last week in January, we are very much in a relegation battle.
And that's it. It's you want to make sure that in the next month or two, there isn't any worries about relegation, you know, because you want to get them sorted now. And the only way to get them sorted now is picking up wins, and obviously that's what the team needs to do. We've had one in from Cumbria and Toffee, who said, given Danny Ings is the free agent at the end of the season, would it make sense to make a bid now, pay $5 million, which is well in our budget, and a play for the long term? I mean, Danny Ings is certainly impressed, and obviously the fact that he is a free agent at the end of the season means that obviously Burnley are very vulnerable to bids. But then, you know, you look at a player like that, and I would think, okay, that player might turn around and say leaving in the summer. But his goals, I mean, what would his goals be worth if they kept Burnley up? I mean, surely they'd be worth more than $5 million. You know, if he keeps them in the Premier League, that's another, what, £100 million next season, £150 million. And he looks like the kind of player that will do that. So, yes, it would seem like they're vulnerable, but, you know, for a club like Burnley, I mean, they would clearly, you know, it's like someone coming to us and saying, well, we'll give you $40 million for Romelu Lukaku, right? It might seem like a great deal, but if he scores another 5, 6, 7, 8 goals towards the end of the season like that with his games, which most of his goals genuinely do, then you wouldn't do it. It wouldn't make any sense, would it?
No, I mean, look, Danny Ings is worth a lot more than £5 million when you weigh it up against the Premier League. Burnley will probably be prepared to take that gamble. You know, the flip side of that is if he scores goals and keeps them in the league, he may sign a new deal there. He might be happy to stay. Is Danny Ings Everton's answer? Can he play up in a one? Probably not. Is he better with a partner? Yeah. Will Everton play two up front? Doesn't look like it at the minute. I mean, I'm all for two strikers. I've grown up and brought up on partnerships. I'm a great believer in having centre forwards there, at least, you know, one, but having two up there because you can share the goals. If one's not scoring, the other one is. I think when you play with one and two wide players, you're putting all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, with Lukaku or Kone, whoever he goes with. And I just think when you have two up there, it means a tinkering of the formation, of course it does. But look, we've played at 4-3-3, so to speak, all season, and we're 4 points off the relegation places. So, you know, maybe we do need to switch to a two up front, you know, and try and get some goals, because that's clearly what we're lacking at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm not convinced we necessarily need a centre forward as our highest priority. I think it's providing goals that we need more than anything else. I understand what the argument is about we've just lost a centre forward in Eto, but I genuinely think we need a player who can create goals. A player who can create goals and has created goals in the Premier League and has also hurt us before is Callum McManaman, who went to West Brom today for just over $5.5 million. Now, given he's played in the Premier League before, and given Roberto Martinez knows him, and given the fact that, again, he's within our budget, he's a player who can create goals, plays in a position that I think we do need covering. Would you have been tempted to go and get?
Yeah, he's a player I mentioned a couple of weeks ago when we done this. You know, I felt as though he's exactly what Everton needed. You know, some pace, a little bit of bite down that right-hand side. Evertonian as well, you know, would like to play for the club. in a price range we could afford at a great age. He's only 23. Obviously, there's other factors all in with the deal, which may be why a lot of clubs have looked at him and kind of stepped away from it. But I think again the flip side to that is how much negativity would that have been if we'd have bid for another Wigan player. People seem to have a real downer on that. So I don't know. It was a 50-50 one, that one. But I'm with you. I mean, I said on Twitter today there was a few people bemoaning the loss of Etu, and obviously Roberto Martinez has said that he may not necessarily bring a centre forward in to replace Etu. We're losing a player who came on and played in midfield and just done a lot of pointing. So if you just want someone to come and stand there and point, then I'm quite sure we could get, me or you would do it for a fraction of the wages. But I think a creative player is what we're missing more than anything, and someone to give the squad a boost.
Yeah, because I mean, I've made this point a lot. I mean, there's two ways of looking at this. I think we've massively missed Steven Pienaar this season. I've said it on numerous occasions. I think we massively missed Steven Pienaar. Now, a lot of people come back to me and say, well, Steven Pienaar's not the player he was. That's fair enough. You can't... His legs may have gone. Certainly, every time he's tried to come back from injury, for one reason or other, it's stalled, it hasn't worked out. But that kind of player is someone we're definitely missing in the side. Someone who links the play so well. Someone who got the best out of Leighton Baines, create goals. Someone who could help Leighton Baines create goals. Opens up the space for a lot of players in the field. And I just think he's been so badly missed this season. And it's sad because his demise has been so quick in a way. But also, not just quick, but he's just been sort of forgotten about so quickly. And I don't understand that. For me, for me, the last 10 years, he's been one of the best players we've had. He's up there with one of the best signings David Moyes ever made. And I think if you seriously wanted to go and replace Steven Pienaar, you'd be talking about going to get someone like Cazorla from Arsenal. I think he's generally that good. I think his biggest weakness he ever had was he wasn't much of a goal scorer. But then again, he always popped up to score a very vital goal. And it's a shame how much he's been forgotten about by Evertonians this season. It really, really is. For me, I've loved the lad since he signed. I know, of course, he left and went to Spurs, and it never worked out for him. But there was reasons behind that. Never quite felt loved as much as other people at the club. And I think he has to be replaced because he's been that important for us in the past.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think people, fans tend to write players off very, very quickly. I think he's important for the last 25 minutes of games. Even the likes of West Brom at home, maybe he might have been able to unlock something. But I think the problem for Steven this year is, and you've just said it before, he's just not got any kind of run going. He's come in, done okay, got injured. He's come back, he started to look okay, he's got injured again. And then he's come back not fully fit the last time. And his legs did look as though they've gone, but he's a tireless workhorse of a footballer, Steven Pienaar, but such a clever player that, you don't always need that burst, that burst of pace. You just need that brain sometimes, and we've not got a natural replacement for him to come in and help the likes of Leighton Baines out. I think the problem that Steven has, I think you're right, in terms of goals, he's not put the ball in the net anywhere near as much as he should have done. And fans want fresh, new, hungry players, don't they? We go on about Ross Barkley. Yeah, this kid's getting it everywhere from sections of supporters. We want him in the team, but when he's in the team, we want to get on his back. So I think it's just a season of frustration, and everything's boiling over. And players the likes of Pienaar will be singled out because obviously he's 32 now, and he's had a tough he's had a tough time this season. But there's no question about it. Everton have missed him massively, and I'm with you, Ped. He's been, for me, one of David Moyes' best players, and he only left the club because other circumstances going on in and around it, which really should never have been allowed to happen at that time, but it did.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I mean, if you're seeing other players getting contracts that you feel like you're deserving, it is gonna leave it to how valued you are. It's as simple as that, really, isn't it? You know, that's the top and bottom of it, isn't it?
Robot. You were a bit robotic there, mate. Just so you know, I'll just fill in while you're trying to sort that. Yeah, there's been, that's better. At the end of the day, in this situation that Everton are in, you probably needed some players who aren't favourites, and I'm not a massive lover of Leon Osman, but we've missed them. We've missed them 20 minutes from the end of matches to come on and try and manage a game. Ozzy's always good to get you the goal from somewhere. Not saying he's a starter, of course he's not. He and I are very, very similar. And this is one of the things that have been frustrating for me, is that why he's not used Luke Garbutt further up the pitch in front of Leighton Baines, or vice versa. Why them two haven't been tried at a time when he's looking for solutions, because Luke Garbutt's got absolutely fabulous left foot, and him and Baines. I'm still here.
You're still there. I lost you for a moment then.
Yeah, no.
This weather is interrupting us, I think. But you were talking about Luke Garbutt. I think we've mentioned this before about using the the three left-sided players that we've got to the best of the ability. Maybe we're seeing that now with Oviedo. I don't know where that leaves Luke Garbutt, but we'll wait and see. I suppose that's the least of our worries at the moment, thinking about where the players are leaving when we are in the position we are. But what do you generally feel about Monday? Do you think that there could be a surprise? There could maybe one or two. I mean, got a goalkeeper's being muted. This kid from Norway, Nyland, who I tweeted Thomas Mara about the other day and asked him what he thought of him, and he said he was ready for the Premier League. And there certainly seems like there is something there, like they are watching him. But maybe, do you think maybe they might want to pounce now before anyone else, or do you think they might think, well, we'll put something in place that maybe we bring this kid in the summer?
Well, they were certainly working on it sort of 7 to 10 days ago. It's gone quite quiet. He's 24, isn't he? He's been over here before. I think there's a lot of clubs looking at him, and I think the worry is if you leave it until the summer, someone else comes and takes him from you. I'd be tempted to get him now, but then again, you just don't know, do you? In terms of Monday, I'd be very, very surprised if Monday comes and goes without anyone coming in. I would, even if it's just a player on loan, because it for me it doesn't send out the right message whatsoever. I think you freshen the squad up. I understand what Roberto's saying in terms of it's not the best value, it's not the best time to bring players in, but I think when we've done it before with the likes of Jelavic and Pinar and things like that, in them, even last January, he brought McGeady and Traore in. Okay, neither of them worked out fantastically well, but it just gave that squad a little bit of fresh impetus, didn't it?
I think it's also not. I think it's nonsense when managers say you don't get value. I think that's utter nonsense. I think that's something they use to hide behind. I think it's utter nonsense. I think there's plenty of players out there that, listen, whatever anyone thinks of Everton or Everton's position, there are lots of players and teams out there that want to move players on, and players want to move on. Why do people think Newcastle have the ability to get so many good players from France? It's because the clubs need the money, and the players literally triple the wages in one hit. There's so many good players out there that we're getting linked with players like Pato, people like that. Well, the reason we're getting linked with people like Pato is because his team in Brazil, Corinthians, are dying to get rid of him because he's on for what they are earning. He's on a large amount of money, and they want to move him on to a Premier League team because they see that as an easy way. And there's a lot of players out there that are like that, So no, you can't tell me that that there aren't players out there. I think the problem with Everton is it's a risk because they may not have looked at some of these players as intensely as other players that they want to scout. And yes, I can understand because last year at this time, around deadline day, we were all crying out for Everton to go and spend some money. And Roberto Martinez said, no, I'm going to keep holding the money that I've got and I'm going to use it wisely in the summer. And he had a point and he did use it. And at that point, we were completely at the other end of the table and it was all right. But this season, it's a little bit more desperate. Now, I wouldn't want him to go out there and sign someone for, a desperation signing. But I still think there's a lot of quality knocking around that he could go and look at.
Yeah, I mean, I was nodding with you first about the value because I thought you were going to say when managers talk, it's utter nonsense. Because I was going to say, I wouldn't believe a manager or a player if they told me, that it was Thursday tomorrow. But it is what it is, and you can obviously always bring players in who can improve your squad. But I think you've just hit the nail on the head. It's about planning, and when Everton have got the resources that Everton have got, they like to examine everything to the nth degree before they sign a player. And maybe, like you say, players come available now that they haven't had as much time to scout or don't know as much about the personality or, whether they like pasta or they like sausage rolls or everything else that they look into nowadays. And so it represents a little bit of a gamble for them. But I think sometimes you've got to take that gamble, and maybe now is the time to take a little bit of a gamble because we need a lift. We've got a big month coming up. We've got a month coming up when we play Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea. Big games. Crystal Palace Saturday's massive. So something's got to happen. Will Saturday dictate Monday? Possibly. But I still expect Everton to do something on Monday. And like I said, I'd be very, very surprised if it passes and we haven't added at least one or two.
Yeah. Because whatever anyone says, you look at the squad this season. It has been under strength because of injuries to the most part. And you look at the last few games as well, and you look at how many subs he makes, and he only makes a couple of subs. He never makes 3 subs. So therefore, if he's not making 3 subs, that basically tells you that there isn't the strength. There isn't the strength there to bring people off the bench, so that certainly needs to be looked at. If there isn't the players on the bench, you've got to go and find them players.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said before, it's even just for the 20-minute things towards the end of the game, isn't it? Something that gives you a little bit of a lift. We seem to not have that option at the moment. The options are cutting down. We've got a question here in the right hand side. Does the eagerness of Etu to leave indicate serious issues in the camp? We don't know. There's just a lot of things going on at the moment, isn't it? I think the thing with Samuel Etu is ask yourself the question. He's been here 4 months and has been allowed to leave. So read into that what you will. If everything would have been nice and easy and rosy, I don't think Samuel would have been going anywhere. So I think rather than look at the fact that he's leaving, blaming the club, maybe, you need to look a little bit closer to the player himself and see why the club are eager to get him out the door. Now, in terms of replacing him, I do believe we need someone in. And, we've been linked with, I'm not even going to try to say his name, not Connor Wickham, the Russian kid who lives
Kaplunki.
Yeah, Kaplunk. That ball game, yeah.
Kaplunkiski.
But
he's another one though, isn't he? He's another one he's on his way to Roma, and he's been made aware that there is interest from England. Doesn't mean it does, and he fully understands that Roma won't offer him anywhere near what a Premier League team will offer. Nowhere near. So he's probably thinking, well, I'll give this a couple of days and see if anyone comes in for me. I've got a definite offer from Roma. Roma are not going to turn around and go, well, no, if you don't like it, go away. So
the worry for him is he Billy Dean off again? You know what I mean, isn't it? It's one of them.
Yeah, but I know this time last year Liverpool were, really, really heavily into him. And we know what a really good talent Brendan Rodgers is. So,
Well, exactly.
you know.
So let's leave him where he is.
That's another question. One from DB Cooper has said, DB Cooper, didn't he jump out the back of a plane after robbing a bank? It's one for the history fans there. If Martinez doesn't get a striker, then we are in big trouble. I still can't believe we've let Et leave now in the middle of the season. If he went back to Italy with his family, could they have waited until the summer? We need him now. Well, I think, as we've just mentioned, I wouldn't worry too much about the Eto'o situation. He clearly wanted to go. The club, whether he wanted to do it or not, didn't seem to be putting up much of a fight to stop him. And
that kind of tells its own picture, mate, doesn't it?
Yeah,
the
and
club, you know,
he seemed he was adamant he was going as well. So, you know, he made it quite clear.
I think it suits everyone that he's left. Let's leave it there.
Yeah, it's a massive shame. It's a massive shame, you know. But you know, we all enjoyed having someone like Samuel Eto'o in the team, but that's the way it is. Cumbie and Toffee's been back on and says Martinez needs to give Atsu a decent run. He returns, defo lacking pace or direction in the final third. Mind Martinez doesn't like our players crossing into the penalty box. It's an interesting one, Atsu, because if you think about it, he hasn't had any kind of run this season in the first team, and that's going to be an issue for fitness. Now he's gone away to the African nations. He's just got a man of the match award for Ghana in the I think it was the quarterfinals or something. Yeah. He's had a couple of games there, 3-4 games now on the bounce. Maybe he's getting his fitness up, confidence up. Now if he comes back, I mean, there's been a lot of talk that he's gonna come back and go to Derby, but Roberto Martinez seems adamant that he's still part of the squad. So could he? And I don't want to use that. Could he be like a new signing? But could the fact that he played a few games now benefits us towards the end of the season?
Of course, yeah, because I think he's got something. He's definitely got something. He's quick. I don't like the fact he plays on the right hand side. I'm not going to lie. It means he's got to come inside every time. I don't like that. I'd rather him be wide left where he can go outside the fullback and really test people. Get deliveries into the penalty area. I think, like Cumbie and Toffee said there, we don't put anywhere near enough balls into the penalty area due to this, the dominance game that we try to play. But someone like Atsu, who was really, dare to call him an X-Factor player, because we don't really know what he's got. He could be something that gives us a spark for the last 3 months of the season. I don't know, where he's hot and cold, isn't he? He looks great 1 minute and lightning, and then the next he just looks lost. So he's someone we don't know too much about, but certainly going and playing for Ghana and performing will give us confidence a boost, and he may come back like a different player. He may come back ready to get in and start, carrying that form on for the second half of the season. We need it, that's for sure.
We definitely need a player like him, that kind of pace as we're talking about. We definitely need that kind of player in the to come off the bench or to start games. Definitely. We've had mids now. We can't get any guests on. I don't know. People are saying to us it's because the invites are on the wrong dates. I invited you on very easily, Baz, so I don't know what the problem is. I really don't. If anyone's got any kind of ideas of why we can't get people on, I don't know. But Google, make it easier.
We just need to just keep plugging away, mate. We'll get there.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Right. Big game coming up Saturday. Crystal Palace away. Obviously, these are a bit of a bogey side to Roberto Martinez. He hasn't had any luck against him so far at Everton. After Army Pards' fantastic start as well, it's looking a very, very tough game.
And just to make it even better, they just signed Shola Ramiobi today as well.
Oh, so, fantastic.
Be brilliant. It's what a better place, couldn't think of a better place or manager to get a win against than Pards at the weekend. But it's been quite dire really against Crystal Palace, hasn't it? Last season down there we were very disappointing. One of our worst performances of the season at Selhurst Park. It was, the 0-0 and they just basically had 10 men behind the ball and we didn't have a clue how to break them down. I think we had about 80% possession. Couldn't put the ball in, and they actually missed, I think, 2 or 3 of the best chances in the whole game. And then obviously the 2 games at Goodison, which we've lost by, the odd goal in 5 twice, means that they're a tough side to play against. The big lads, physical lads, but they're not going to come and stick 10 men behind the ball this Saturday.
No.
And I think it'll be a very different Crystal Palace. That they're still going to be in our face. They're still going to be putting the tackles in. But I think they'll be a little bit more expansive than say they were under Tony Pulis or Neil Warnock. And Everton, let's be honest, we've got to try and get a win from somewhere, and this may be the one. A lot of people will fancy Palace to turn us over. And maybe this will be the one where we just, things click, or we get a lucky, scruffy goal or something like that and win the game because we need it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a difficult game, but I suppose a lot of it will come down to how we approach the game. Obviously, Roberto Martinez likes to approach every game by going out to win, but do you think being a little bit more pragmatic might help in this game? And I'm certainly not suggesting going down there and maybe playing for a draw, but maybe set play on the counter attack. Trying to draw Crystal Palace in and then hit them on the break. Because I think we're an effective side when we play on the break. When we have got the likes of Morales and when we have got the likes of Lukaku and Ross Barkley, people, we look at a good side. And now players have just had a week in Qatar, so that they should all be refreshed and ready to go. They all looks like they've been training hard and also enjoying themselves. So, you can't say there's going to be any tiredness involved. But I do think we can go there and just weather a little bit of a storm, because they, as you just mentioned, they won't sit back. They'll want to come at us. I think if we play on the counter attack, I think we might get a little bit more joy.
Yeah. It's just such a tough one, because you know what Roberto does. He believes that we should go and try and win every game, and sometimes you have got to have an air of caution, haven't you? I think we're equipped to play on a counter-attack. I think the big thing is in the midfield, isn't it? He's going to have a big choice to make this week. Does James McCarthy come straight back into that starting lineup? Does he go onto the bench? A lot of fans would like to see Mo Bezic and James McCarthy as the middle 2 with Barkley ahead of them. Is that a 3 that could work there? Would it be better to play a flat 3 at the weekend and have Bezic, McCarthy and Barry like we did at Anfield, and have Naismith, Morales and Lukaku up front, and just pull Ross out, have him on the bench, and just try and see how that, stay in the game and really try and create chances at the other end. Let Stephen Naismith harass them, let Morales start running at them. Kevin Morales owes us big time this weekend.
Well, that's if he's fit, because he's been doing light training over in Qatar. Very luckily, a friend of mine is actually the head coach at the Aspire Academy, so he's been keeping an eye on them for me. Pinar, Osman, Morales, they've all been doing light training. James McCarthy certainly was doing light training when they got there, but I think he's stepped it up. He stepped it up as it's gone along. So it'll be interesting. But I mean, I'm definitely in the camp of wanting Jan McCarthy to play in there with Ross. I think that's what we need. We need that kind of energy in midfield. Definitely, certainly, the way we've been playing, we just need those legs in there, because it's been so evident how the lack of pace and how many side-to-side balls we need to play. Interesting point raised by Mike Newell today, or certainly this week, suggesting that he thinks that Everton's play is very boring, and it's not what as fans that we want, and it's too much, and you can understand why fans do get on the backs of players when it continually goes back to the goalkeeper, because he said, fans want to see the ball moving forward, and that's I think we haven't seen enough of that. We haven't seen enough of the ball going forward, going into dangerous areas, getting into behind teams, around the side of teams. It just doesn't happen enough.
No, he has got a point, because we're not playing well, are we? And it's been a season of 800 passes along the back 4, it seems like, at times, rather than crossing the halfway line. We all were sort of intrigued last season with the way we play, the way Roberto Martinez had us playing last year. I think just everything complemented each other perfectly. You know, we had Barkley just off Lukaku, and that was dynamic. We had Gerard Deulofeu at times raiding down that right-hand side with real pace. We had Morales doing it down the other side, you know, and there was interchange, and Naismith was coming in. Everything was fast. Baines and Coleman were flying up. And it was everything Everton done, particularly in the second half of the season, was at pace and was quick and was you know, we looked vibrant, young side, you know, and it seems to this year to be everything's gone wrong, hasn't it? Nothing's really worked. Players have been out of form. Our players got slower and slower. And what happens is when you lose confidence, people take 2 touches and 3 touches, and everything then becomes forced. And once you start forcing things, you start being worried about making mistakes. Everything gets slower and slower. You don't take risks because you don't want to give the ball away. You'll see, I've seen so many times this season, players knocking it to each other 3 foot away from each other, just giving it. Besic and Barkley have done it loads. They just knock it and get it, and no one moves. They just stand there kicking it back and forward because it's almost like a hot potato. I don't want it. You have it. I don't want it. We don't want to make a mistake. We don't. And last year we were a little bit more risk taking, if you like, and that dynamism that other clubs have in and around that final third, we've struggled with this season. And until we get that back, it will remain boring football. It will remain 500 passes along the back four and back to your goalkeeper because, you know, that's the way we're set up, and it's frustrating, but that's it.
Yeah, it has been quite boring, hasn't it? So, just anyone who's watching the video live on YouTube, make sure that you can will use the Q&A section, not just the thing on YouTube, because we can't see them. I've just noticed, and there's loads of questions, but we can't see them while we're doing the show. So, make sure you use the Q&A section. We have got a guest. Oh my God, it's worked. It's worked. It does look like he's trapped in Guantanamo Bay with that beard, though, Simon Magner. But he has joined us. Si,
all right.
Take yourself off mute now. There you go, mate. Right, Simon Magner has joined us. He is from the Blue Union. Don't turn off just because we've mentioned that name. Honestly, they're not evil people. They've just got bad beards. Si, you've joined us to talk about what's going on with this with the ticketing situation. You have been down there to the Premier League last week regarding the ticketing for away fans, especially. So give us what's going on.
Well, it's all come from last couple of summers. We've been marching with the FSF down and other fan groups down at Premier League headquarters, all around the FSF's 20s Plenty campaign. Last year, the first year we went down 2 years ago, we went in for a meeting with the Premier League, and from that meeting we got the Away Fans Initiative, which was each Premier League club got £200,000 to go towards the Away Fan Initiative. Again, last season we went down again last summer, and they took us in, gave us assurances that they were looking into it, and more will be done for the away fans. So basically what happened on Friday is they invited a delegation in again just to go over some of the issues that we'd raised. I can't go into too much detail because obviously it's in a negotiation phase at the moment, and a lot of it's dependent on the new TV deal which is being negotiated at the moment. But we're quite optimistic that we'll probably hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get some sort of positive action on cheaper away fan tickets.
Because obviously, I mean, you mentioned the TV deal there. I mean, the TV, the way it is at the moment, obviously this Friday game is going to be coming in. Well, not next season, but when the new TV deal comes in, it's going to be coming in. And I'm sure by the time these TV companies have had done with it, we're going to have a kickoff, bit literally for every game, a different kickoff or something close to it anyway. I mean, that's got to be considered, hasn't it? Because if fans are being stretched around times for the TV, then surely those fans have got to start be considered when it comes to ticket prices.
Definitely. there's loads of things to take into consideration. You mentioned yourself there the Friday kickoffs. Probably the first step will be a weekend of football. So what we've been led to believe beforehand is that it was going to be either a Friday or a Monday, within the one weekend. But I have a sneaking suspicion that you'll probably get Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday games all over the one weekend. Something that's previously been sort of held and sort of sacrosanct was the Saturday 3 p.m. kickoffs. And now, I suspect that they'll probably be thrown into a mix with regards to the negotiations to the ticket prices. But I mean, further down the line, where does it end? I can see a game is happening on every day of the week: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And it doesn't stop with the TV channels either. I mean, there's they've got loads of options with streaming online as well. So whatever they come with us with, we've got to take all these into account. And I don't think it's sort of fallen on deaf ears, if you know what I mean, with regards to all these games playing them on TV, and then how it affects the fans. So I do think in some circles that we are being sympathised with. So we're hoping that that as it progresses down the line, that more and more people will start to understand the pressures that fans are under to be able to afford coming to the game. So yeah, there's plenty.
Well, I mean, as you mentioned, I mean, one of the big things is for me, I mean, there's a game on and it's being watched around the world. The Premier League surely want that ground to be full, and we don't want situations where someone like, I mean, obviously we sell out everywhere we go, so that there's not really a problem from our end, right? But at the same time, other clubs know that, so they rip us off. But when you have got clubs like, let's say when Newcastle came last year and it was a Monday night and they only brought 800 or something like that, or
West Brom last Monday. Perfect example.
There you go. And surely from Everton's point of view, Everton want the away end full, because obviously the concourse, they want the concourse, the tea, coffee, beers, whatever, they want them sold out. But from the Premier League's point of view, Monday night game wasn't the greatest game in the world, but you would think that they want that atmosphere created, so that at least on TV there is an atmosphere, and that's the product they're helping to sell as well.
Yeah, it's got to be a win-win situation for everyone, and I do believe it is. And I think it's not just the TV companies that will be looking at the MTC to Goodison for West Brom, and like you said, Newcastle last season as well. But other partners like Barclays as well, it reflects on them as well, and that's got to be taken into account.
Yeah, but I mean, as you say, everyone's got to be taken into account. But you would think, I mean, you talk about that £200,000 there. I mean, that came up for a lot of issues this season, because people were asking where it was spent, and some of it was spent on lowering the tickets for away fans to come to Goodison. Some of it was, a pound here, knocked off. Some of it was spent on other things, facilities. It wasn't really. It was, every club had a different thing. It didn't really make any sense to me, really, because for me, I think the Premier League should have just took it out the hands of the clubs and said, "This is what we're going to do." I mean, is it something that you're looking at, that maybe it should just be taken completely out of the club's hands, and when that money comes in from all these TV companies, the Premier League just put some of it aside and just say, right, every ticket is now this price, because that's the way it should be, and we're going to take it away from the clubs.
I think you've got to. I hate to say the clubs can't be trusted, but I mean there is a degree of accountability with regards to that £200,000. I mean, when you look at, what Everton have done, this season have been great. They've done a couple of road trips down to a few away games, but I know I've had conversations. I think we had one for Southampton, and I think we've got one for Crystal Palace coming up. I've had discussions with Blues who come, live on the south coast. How do they travel home and away? How do they take advantage of
Yeah.
of that particular initiative. Not just that as well. I mean, money's being spent on the fan zone. I'm not really sure how many away fans actually go to our fan zone. I don't suspect that there's an awful lot, but there you go. But yeah, there's got to be a degree of accountability. So I do think that the decisions has to be taken out of the club's hands on this one, because I mean, you talk about subsidising tickets. I think the Chelsea game's been subsidised, so you're still paying £45 for a match ticket.
Yeah.
I think 5 has been taken off, which is ridiculous. But I mean, myself and I know a number of my colleagues in the Blue Union and outside of our group, you know, in the wider fan base. I mean, what we say is we enter into reciprocal deals. There's no point taking, you know, £5 or £10 off those Chelsea tickets if they've still got to pay £45 coming up to Goodison. We might as well just be giving Chelsea £10 per ticket. That's basically what we're doing there. We're giving, by subsidising them, we're giving them £10 per supporter that's going down there. So initially, I would say it's got to be, you know, you've got to be looking at the reciprocal deals, or, you know, in an ideal world, yeah, show us where you're spending this £200,000 match day initiative. But I don't think they'll be too thrilled doing that.
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned there, I mean, it's the club's got probably whatever rights it wants, and I'm sure the people will enjoy the road trips. But as you say, it doesn't suit every single person. Fans make their own way to the games, and not every fan can go on the road trip. So it's, in a way, it helps some, but doesn't help all. And that's what I suppose the ideal thing is, isn't it? Because once you've dealt with the away fans, then I suppose if we can get the away fans, the next thing is to get the home fans sorted. Because really, if you think about it, I mean, I know you will have, but in this day and age, really, none of us should be paying the ticket prices that we're paying, and yet they're going higher and higher and higher because we keep on getting told, well, if you want this and that player, you're going to have to pay for these tickets. But really, the TV money should be paying for all that, and we should be paying less, as far as I'm concerned, because we are part of the product that gets sold in a way. So I do find it very strange. I find, you know, campaign is for the away tickets, but a lot of the time people are saying, well, what about the home tickets? Because it's in that way, isn't it? It is getting to the point now where people are just getting stretched too far. And we've lost Si.
I was just...
Come in and...
Well, I mean, you asked them a couple of questions that I was gonna ask him, and I suppose, I think from me and Simon, it might be able to answer this better than maybe if we get him back from his cave. But you know, how do you please everybody with that £200,000? You know, if it's an initiative just for away supporters, is it an initiative for every supporter of Everton, or is that £200,000 per club for, you know, all or just away fans? And I think you're always going to have. I know when I worked at the club, Ped, and when ticket prices were reduced, or, you know, they done offers and it was buy a match ticket for a tenner for certain games because they wanted the ground full, a lot of people were opposed to that, and season ticket holders saying, well, I've paid X amount of pounds to sit here and you're paying a tenner. And you can see both sides of that. You know, the club want the ground full. I personally, you know, going as a season ticket holder, want the stadium full. But other people will look at it and go, well, hang on a sec, my ticket cost me £30, £35, £40 for the game, and you're getting in for £15. How's that right? And it's that, isn't it? It's trying to, I suppose, it's trying to find a happy medium that suits everybody. And with 200 grand, you know, it's quite difficult to try and tick every box, I suppose, for everybody.
Yeah, it does seem strange, but I suppose we can't criticise Everton. I mean, you can criticise them some things, but I mean, on the ticket front, I suppose the kids' ticket side, they do get, you know, absolutely right. And as the age of match goers gets older and older, you know, those £5 tickets and those £95 season tickets, they've got them right from their point of view, anyway.
Yeah, definitely. The £5 tickets are great. It's a great idea. But as you said, the average age of the match goers going up, unfortunately. That's across the board. That's not just Everton. So, you know, getting the younger fans invested is definitely the right move, the right idea. But taking up your point before about the price of match tickets for home fans as well, it's totally valid, and it's something I've raised on a number of occasions because with regards to the FSF's 2020, it is aimed directly at the away fans. But I mean, again, like I said earlier, I know Evertonians who live on the south coast who probably pay just as much coming to watch Everton at Goodison Park than they do, down in Southampton or London. So, there is a bigger picture there, and you've got to keep your eye on that and say, well, my fear is that that they knock down away match tickets, but the home fans will run the rest of the price, and that can't be allowed to happen. Now, that's when you've got to really draw the line and say, enough's enough.
Yeah. I totally agree, and there's also like the categorization of away games. That's ridiculous as well. One team getting, having to pay more than another team to sit in the same seat. That to me is an absolute nonsense as well. That's one of the first things that needs to be just completely wiped out, because that's elitism. In a way, you're being punished for the fact that you can sell tickets and you support a certain club. It's ridiculous, but unfortunately, one of my fears is with a lot of these big clubs is that they'll be happy if there wasn't any away fans at the ground. They'd be happy to price the away fans out of coming to the ground. You look at someone like Arsenal. I think they would be. Well, we've already seen it in the FA Cup, haven't we, last season, where they wouldn't allow us in, as many fans as we should have had, and there'll be more and more of that, I think, as it goes on.
That's a fair, yeah, but that's where you need a strong Premier League and a strong FA. I think it's quite unique with regards to English football. The sort of the following to get away from home. I've watched Spanish football and German football, quite regularly, and not as many teams get a stronger away following as English football do. So you can't really point to the Spanish or German league or French league or anything like that and say, this is the way we need to model it on. We're unique in that respect, and we need to be, we need to sort of fiercely guard that little culture that we have, that that away culture that we have, and it is a fierce culture, and people live for it. I don't get to the away games as much as I'd like to these days because of money. But I know people who were, when I was going, people who just went to the away games because that was it, that was their buzz. The home games, sometimes they'd make it if they could, but they'd probably be working to earn the money to go to the away games. So, like I say, it's I'm sure there are teams like United and Arsenal and the ones that can have no problem selling 60, 70, 80,000 tickets. I'm sure they'd be more than willing to wave goodbye to the away fans. But I think that's where, like I say, you need a strong Premier League and a strong FA to say, no, this is what's gonna stay. This is the way it's gonna be.
Yeah, I know you've got a big event coming up. I know you can't say nothing about it, but you have got a big event coming up that people need to keep their eye out for coming up soon concerning ticket price. Only tickets, but grassroots football as well. There's something coming up soon. I know we'll let people comes out. Baz, any more to say?
No, not really. I think you've both gentlemen have covered that really well. I think it's something we've all got to keep our eye on, isn't it? When everything else is spiralling and money's tighter than ever for the fan, if not the football clubs. We've got to make sure that they're getting more and more, and the fans are getting less and less, aren't they? So we've got to make sure that there's a balance, and people, like the likes of Simon and people who are involved in that are doing their best to ensure that it doesn't totally slip away from us.
Well, that's it. I mean, I remember when last summer when we were down in London before the march, and the FSF's chief exec, Kevin Miles, quite eloquently raised the point that Manchester City were very fortunate that Sheikh Mansour came in and bankrolled them to the Premier League title, but it didn't mean that he bankrolled the fans. So all of a sudden you had Manchester City going all over the country one year paying £30, and now that they're winning titles, it's gone up to £50, £60. But yeah, that these sort of things people do need to keep their eye on, and this is the sort of thing that interests myself and those involved in the Blue Union. But this is not just our campaign; it's everyone's. And if anyone takes anything from this, what's happened today, I'd say get involved, get yourself involved. If it's not with us, that's fine. Doesn't matter. Go out and get your own group sorted, and the more the merrier, because it really is, because that's what people need. And I'm not sort of very reactive when I say that the clubs in the Premier League, that this wasn't even on their radar till we turned up outside Premier League HQ 2 years ago. This is totally above the head, and the attitude that we had 2 years ago to the attitude that we had on Friday is it's shifted so much, and that's only come because fans have got up and said enough's enough. But we do need that groundswell of support. We do need more people to get up and say, right, I've had enough. Like I say, obviously the Blue Union have been we've been divisive in the past, so coming on board with us might not be your cup of tea, but there's plenty of ways to get involved and get organised out there, and that's what I'd implore people to do. Go out and help fight the good fight.
Nice one, Si. Oh, it's a proper rally call there, like Citizen Smith. Bit of Wolfie. Nice one, Si. Nice one for joining us. Baz, you've got to get off because you've got to go and have your tea. This has been Toffee TV. We will speak to everyone later.